Welcome to our deep dive. And this time, we're focusing on Colombia.
A country with a rich history and a vibrant culture.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I was blown away by the variety of sources you brought to the table for this one.
Well, you know me, always eager to dig into a new topic from multiple angles.
It seems like Colombia has that effect on people, drawing you in with its diverse landscape and then captivating you with its complex story.
Speaking of landscape, let's start with that. Your travel blog really highlighted just how geographically unique Colombia is.
Right. I mean, it's the only South American country with coastlines on both the Pacific and the Caribbean.
That's right, and don't forget you've got the Andes Mountains running right through it as well.
So you've got beaches, mountains, rainforests. It's like a continent in miniature.
And all that geographic diversity leads to incredible biodiversity.
I mean, that research paper you shared, it was mind-blowing.
Colombia is considered a mega-diverse country, one of the most biodiverse on the planet.
Which makes sense when you think about it. From coral reefs to snow-capped peaks, it's got it all.
And everything in between. It's a haven for unique plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth.
But I think for a lot of people, when they hear Colombia, the first thing that pops into their head is coffee.
Of course, Colombian coffee is famous for a reason.
But you're right, it's just one part of their economy. I was really intrigued by that article you found about the tech scene in Medellin.
Oh yeah, Medellin is becoming a real hub for tech startups and innovation.
It's a good reminder that Colombia is about so much more than just coffee and, well, emeralds too, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Emeralds, flowers, those are still big exports. But Colombia is definitely diversifying, embracing industries like fashion and ecotourism.
And that diversification is probably crucial in today's globalized world.
Absolutely. They're making a name for themselves in new markets, and it's exciting to see.
Speaking of exciting, we can't talk about Colombia without mentioning its culture.
Right. The music, the dance, the food. It's a vibrant mix of influences.
You even included a documentary on Colombian music and dance traditions in the sources.
Well, Colombia is a country of regions, each with its own distinct cultural flavor.
So it's not just salsa, though I have to admit that's what I always picture.
Salsa is definitely big, especially in Cali, but you've also got champeta on the Caribbean coast, influenced by African rhythms.
And the Andean regions, I'm picturing something totally different up in the mountains.
You'd be right. Up there you'll find traditional folk music, instruments like the tipple and the bandola. Very different vibe.
It sounds like a musical adventure waiting to happen.
It truly is.
But, we can't just talk about the fun stuff.
Yeah, Colombia's history has a darker side.
Decades of armed conflict, it's a heavy topic.
It is, and it's something we need to address head on. You specifically wanted to look at the peace process with the FARC, right?
Yeah, I mean, the 2016 peace agreement was a huge deal, but it's obviously not a simple fix-it-all solution.
Absolutely not. We've got a lot of material here that dives into the complexities of the situation.
From what I've gathered, it's not just about ending the fighting. It's about rebuilding trust and addressing the root causes of the conflict.
Exactly. Things like land restitution, economic inequality, those need to be tackled for lasting peace.
And the human cost of the conflict? It's heartbreaking to read about.
Millions displaced, communities torn apart, the scars run deep.
It's a reminder that even as we celebrate Colombia's beauty and vibrancy, we can't forget the difficult path it's traveled.
Absolutely, and the ongoing challenges that still exist.
So the peace process, it's a journey, not a destination, and one that requires a lot of patience and understanding.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And it's a journey that involves the whole world in a way.
That's right. It's not just an internal Colombian issue.
No, you made a good point about international organizations playing a big role.
I mean, you included an article about the UN's involvement in the peace efforts.
Exactly. And the European Union, too. They've provided aid, expertise, even peacekeeping forces.
It really highlights how interconnected we are. A conflict in one country can ripple out across the globe.
And it also shows how cooperation can help. At least we hope so.
It makes you wonder if Colombia's experience could be a model for resolving other conflicts around the world.
Maybe. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure. And as Colombia moves forward, what about its place on the world stage more generally?
Well, they are looking to redefine their image, beyond the conflict.
It seems like they're embracing this new era of economic diversification.
Right, they want to be known for more than just the things they've traditionally exported.
And they've joined some significant international organizations too, right?
Yeah, like the OECD, that was a big step, shows they're serious about economic development.
And democratic values as well, I imagine.
Exactly. It's all part of signaling to the world that Colombia is ready to play a bigger role.
And they're also taking a leadership role in certain areas, right?
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, their focus on environmental conservation.
I mean, with their biodiversity, it's no surprise they're concerned about climate change.
They're not just talking about it, they're taking action, working with other countries, investing in renewable energy.
Protecting their natural wonders while boosting their economy, trying to find that balance.
Exactly. A tough challenge, but a crucial one.
But even with all this progress, I imagine Colombia still faces some serious challenges.
Well, for sure. No country is perfect. There's always work to be done.
Like that report you shared about inequality, that really stood out.
Yeah, the gap between rich and poor, it's a problem, and the conflict hasn't helped.
It's a reminder that peace doesn't magically solve all problems.
Right. Addressing these disparities takes time, investment, and a whole lot of effort.
And then there's the issue of corruption, which came up in quite a few of the sources.
Corruption is tough to tackle. It's a global issue, not just a Colombian one.
But it seems like they're at least trying to address it.
They are. You highlighted those recent anti-corruption efforts, the judicial reforms, the push for transparency.
It's going to be a long process, right? Building trust takes time.
It does, but it's essential for a healthy democracy.
So we've got peace, development, environment, inequality, corruption. A lot on their plate.
A lot indeed, but I think it's their resilience that stands out.
I mean, to go through what they have and still come out striving for a better future.
It's pretty inspiring, wouldn't you say?
It is. You can really sense this spirit of hope, this belief that things can get better.
And that hope manifests itself in so many ways.
Like how so? What are some examples that stuck out from the sources?
Well, look at their creative scene. It's booming. Young artists, musicians, designers, they're making waves internationally.
It's like this energy that just bursts through. They're not letting the past define them.
And the tourism industry, that's growing too. People want to experience Colombia firsthand.
It's like the world is rediscovering Colombia, seeing its beauty, its warmth, its resilience.
And that exposure can only help, breaking down stereotypes, showing the world what Colombia is really about.
It's powerful. It's like a testament to the human spirit, that even in the face of adversity, hope finds a way.
And Colombia is full of hope, that's for sure. It's part of what makes it so fascinating.
Absolutely. So as we move towards wrapping up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways we can leave our listener with?
Well, first and foremost, the diversity of Colombia, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of place.
From the landscape to the culture, it's a country of contrasts.
Exactly. And second, we can't understand Colombia's present without understanding its past.
The conflict has shaped the nation in profound ways.
It's not about dwelling on the negative, but acknowledging the complexities.
And finally, that sense of resilience and hope. That's what truly stands out.
The Colombian people have faced incredible challenges, yet they keep striving for a brighter future.
It's contagious, that optimism. It leaves you feeling like anything is possible. And it's inspiring to see how even as they grapple with these serious issues, there's this vibrant cultural energy pushing forward in Colombia.
Oh, absolutely. You picked up on that from the sources, too. It's not all doom and gloom.
Right. We got things like that photography book showcasing Colombian street art.
Oh, that one was fantastic.
And that article about how Colombian fashion designers are getting more and more international recognition.
It's like creativity is woven into their DNA.
And it's not just about aesthetics either. It's about using that creativity to solve problems.
You're talking about those social entrepreneurs, right? The ones tackling poverty and environmental issues in innovative ways.
Exactly. It's like they're taking ownership of their future and finding solutions from within.
That entrepreneurial spirit, it's definitely something you see a lot of in Colombia.
Which makes me think about the legacy of the conflict, We talked about the peace process, but how does that history continue to shape Colombia today, in your view?
That's a great question, and it's something that really came through in the sources you chose.
Oh, how so?
Well, one way is through the concept of collective memory, how a society remembers and interprets its past.
Right, and in Colombia, that memory is inevitably tied to the conflict.
But it's not just about remembering the pain, it's about using that memory to build a better future.
So it's not about erasing the past, but learning from it.
Exactly, and you see this reflected in so many ways, like that museum exhibit you mentioned, the one focusing on victim stories.
It's about honoring their experiences, promoting healing.
Right, and using those stories to build a more peaceful future.
It's like they're turning pain into a catalyst for change.
Powerful stuff. And it's not just museums. You also had that novel by the Colombian author exploring the conflict through ordinary people's eyes.
It's a way of processing the past through art, through storytelling.
And ultimately reclaiming their narrative, defining their own future.
That's where the real hope lies, I think, in their willingness to confront the past and use it as fuel for progress.
Absolutely, and that's what makes me optimistic about Colombia's future.
So, big picture, what's your take on where Colombia is headed?
Well, we can't ignore the global context. They're facing the same challenges as everyone else: climate change, economic uncertainty.
It's like they're navigating their internal struggles while also dealing with these external forces.
Exactly, but one thing that gives me hope is their commitment to international cooperation.
Right, you highlighted those articles about their role in global organizations.
Working with others to solve problems, it's essential in today's world.
So they're not shying away from their global responsibilities.
Not at all. They're stepping up, and that's a good sign.
Okay, so global context, check. What about internal factors? What are the big issues they need to tackle?
Well, inequality is still a major challenge. The gap between rich and poor.
That came up a lot in our sources. It's a persistent problem.
And it's linked to so many other issues: education, healthcare, access to opportunities.
It's a complex web. And then there's the peace process. It's not over just because the agreement was signed.
Right. The risk of violence is still there. Those underlying causes need to be addressed.
Poverty, inequality, access to land, it all ties together.
It does, and it's a long road ahead, but I believe they can do it.
It sounds like Colombia's future hinges on their ability to address these challenges head on.
It does, but I'm optimistic. The Colombian people have shown incredible resilience, and they have the support of the international community.
It's a story of hope, of determination, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, progress is possible.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Well, it's been a fascinating deep dive, exploring the complexities of Colombia.
Truly a country of contrasts, full of challenges, but also brimming with potential.
And for our listener, we encourage you to continue exploring, to learn more about Colombia's history, its culture, its people.
Because understanding each other, that's the key to building a better world.
And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to visit Colombia yourself one day and experience its magic firsthand.
That would be fantastic.
Until then, keep diving deep, stay curious, and keep the conversation going.